All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I have the absolute pleasure of chatting with somebody that I've had so much respect for since she showed up on the scene, like a couple of years ago now, Mrs. Jenna Belk. Mm-hmm. From you might know her from Atheist Experience and the newly rebooted Godless Bitches version 3.
Yeah.
with Jen and Vila Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jenna, what was it like for you, just getting to the ACA and becoming a part of all the madness that goes on there?
Well, honestly, I got started volunteering there because the first time I ran into Eric and they needed a volunteer to call screen for Talk Heathen. Mm-hmm. So I got suckered into helping out right away, and
yeah, he's good at
that good feeling, of helping.
Yeah.
So I decided pretty quickly to start volunteering there once a week, just to feel like I'm giving enough back to the world, because I felt like I'd wasted so much time already.
Yeah.
And then the people there, I was learning everything from Mark and Vern and Silas and Michelle and everybody. I was just learning so much from everyone there.
All great people.
I still am, so.
Yeah, I've met all of them. They're great people.
Yeah.
Because I was there last year. You've probably seen my stickers floating around at that point.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't bumped into you yet, because I'm just there when you're not, and you're there when I'm not.
Yeah, well, I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, so it's a hell of a commute if I want to show up there on Sundays. But I'll be there in June, as you know, and I'll be there for a couple of weeks. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe I'll be able to sit in on a couple of shows, possibly. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
And what was it like when they asked you to actually start doing the shows with them? You must have been like, "Ooh."
Well, it was interesting. So Eric actually asked me to be a host pretty quickly, and I was like, "Oh my god, okay." I was like, but right now I'm carpooling right now with my husband,
right?
So I can't for a couple months. And he was like, "Okay, well, we'll wait. We'll talk and hang out and get you trained up and all that." I was like, "Okay." So I ended up being pretty busy and not being there for the next couple months. But when I started actually being on, I was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But the conversations are always so interesting, and I don't know, it's fun. It's just.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's just you sit down and you start talking. It's like, I don't know, this is fun.
Well, I got to sit on with Dan for an episode of Truth Wanted.
Oh, right.
Right. But my internet cut out on me, or my machine just crapped out on me, or something, which is why I upgraded to my wonderful new Alienware.
Nice.
Which
I
is
like the background.
$3,000 later. Anyway, so this time it won't crap out on me if that ever comes up again. But yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that, and I'm just kind of sad that 20 minutes of it I wasn't a part of, but what do you do? Yeah,
well, do it again.
I'm sure yeah. I told him, yeah, anytime you want me on, I'm ready this time. I'm ready. But anyways, let's get into the actual meat of the matter that I do here on the show. And that's I talk to people about their journey away from their religious beliefs or their faiths or whatever. Hell, I've even talked to some people that have had, belief in astrology and stuff too, right? Which I had at one time too. I was dumb enough to do that at one time too.
The fairy magic?
Yeah.
Like the card readings?
Yes. Yeah, I still have some of the cards.
Because one of my really good friends is into that. And I was into that for a while too. So that's interesting.
I have the Aleister Crowley Thoth version of the tarot cards myself. I just love
nice.
The artwork for it was really cool.
Yeah, the artwork on the fairy stuff is beautiful too. So
I've
always been a fairy person. So
me too. Fairies and dragons. I have a dragon tarot deck actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, my sister Deanna's got the fairy deck actually at home. She's not a real big believer in it anymore either. I've had a lot of influence on her over the past few years, so she kind of pushed. She even had the salt lamps that it's putting out ions. I'm like, no, it's not. You know why they're orange? They're rusting. That's why.
I still have a lot of that stuff. Like I have a necklace that has a little metal ball in it, and it has essential oil on it. And I like lavender, so I do.
You know what?
That, but I don't think it's magically healing.
No. No. The oils can have an effect if you do like that smell on you. They can change your brain chemistry, right? Make you
colors
elated.
too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that's about as much reality as you're going to get from that shit. I mean, it's not going to cure any cancer or make a limb grow back or anything like that.
Right. So. It's as efficient as lighting a candle.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nice.
All right. So why don't you take me back sort of to the beginning stages of when you sort of noticed the dominoes falling for the belief structures and stuff, and what led you into becoming the simply amazing atheist activist that you are today?
Oh, well, I have a long way to go. I have a lot to learn. It's so crazy because when I got invited on, I was like, okay, so you're going to train me for a few months or years first, right?
Years.
Seriously, I was like, I'm going to get trained. And he's like, let's try it. Like, okay.
Yeah, just throw you in the hot seat, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that the fresh perspective that I do have is useful. But unfortunately, I can't really bring all that logic breakdown yet. I mean, I'm learning about fallacies, and I know quite a few of them now. And
there's an app for it. There's an app for it,
There's an app. There's a podcast for it that I listen to sometimes. Yeah. So I'm working on it, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff to learn that I had completely ignored because I had no interest in it. And that's the funny thing is, so in elementary school, we had CCD classes every Wednesday for Catholics. And so I learned, but the thing is that I was all about trying to make friends. So I didn't really learn much. I passed what I could pass, and I just did the minimum amount of work to get by.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like a lot of kids, I guess. But then in high school, I got pretty involved with the youth group. I was on the board. I don't remember what I was. I didn't have to do anything, but we just did fundraisers for DCYC, which is a Catholic youth conference that they actually do annually here in Austin.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, but it's funny because you go there and you're a Catholic, and it feels weird to be a Catholic, and this place, everybody's Catholic and they're screaming for Jesus, and it just makes you feel like welcome and accepted. You're like, yeah, Jesus, man. So I just got really pumped.
When you said screaming for Jesus, I pictured somebody like a table at a restaurant. Jesus, we're out of water.
That's basically what we were in the conference room or waiting for stuff or whatever, and somebody would just scream, God is good. And then everybody else would scream all the time. And then that one person would scream all the time. And then the whole crowd would scream, God is good.
Yay.
And it's just, I don't know. It's just brainwashing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But I had fun, and I loved Jesus, and I went to church every Sunday, and I listened to Christian music and all that. And almost married a Catholic guy. And I turned out to have mental instability issues, and we broke up. So then I was on my own, started drinking a lot, and still I just had no interest in education. So it's funny, like there are things that I'm learning right now that are elementary level that I should know that I completely ignored. So so basically I was asked a couple questions as a kid. For example, somebody came up to me at one point and said, so just randomly, if somebody walked up to you today and you met them on a bus, and they said that they were Jesus, and they said all the same things that Jesus said in the Bible, would you believe them? And I was like, no.
Can we get an ambulance
right?
here? Bring a white coat.
Yeah. So then he just kind of walked away. I was like, interesting. Okay.
Odd.
So just kind of things like that every now and then, questions which kind of stick, but I'd bury it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was one night a girlfriend of mine, we're drinking, and we're just laying in bed going to sleep, and we're talking about girl stuff, and then she looks, and then religion comes up, of course, and she just looks at me. She's just like, I just can't believe your faith. And I'm just like, yep.
Oh yeah, woo.
Yep, I believe, woo. So that cemented it even more. I moved down here to Austin to be closer to family. I have a lot of family that lives around here, and got involved with a youth group down here and started to become a youth group minister for a junior high group. But then I started to hit rock bottom. So I got a DWI and wrecked my car. And so I lost my job. And so I lost my apartment. And so I'm now like couch hopping. I think I lived like 8 different places in a year and a half. Like, rough time, right? Around this time, the church is like, not sure if you're a good example. So maybe come back later when you get your stuff together and try again. I was like, okay, like, I understand. So I kind of left, and then I had this opportunity, this crossroad in my life where I had an opportunity to go basically back to my hometown, my very small religious hometown, and live with a friend's mom, and she got a job for me, and I would basically be stuck in that town for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Or I had another friend that had a friend that bartended at a strip club.
Okay, that's quite the contrast.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, these 2 options. Like, I'm already here in Austin, strip club's right up the street. I'm a drinker. Sounds fun. I'll give it a shot. So I started cocktailing at a strip club. Had a lot of fun, but the thing is that, we drank all the time, and I'd get drunk at work, and I'd black out and go home and wake up the next morning, and I'd freak out, and I'll call my friends and wonder if I had a job the next morning.
Right.
But they would just reassure me. They'd be like, no, you were fine. You were fine. You want to hear about a time I messed up and blah, blah, blah. And they were so accepting that it was the first place that I really felt like I had a family.
Okay.
And I'm still family with them. Like, we have a Facebook group that we still get on and sometimes meet up. And so
That's
I'm
cool.
still friends and family with a lot of them. And so that kind of intrigued me about how these people felt more family to me than some of my family members.
Right. Family isn't always blood, right?
Right. But that, the religious aspect of it, I was like, but they're so religious and they're all doing the right things, right? I'm like, why does this not feel so wrong? Like, I'm just working. I'm just having fun. I'm just doing what I like to do. So then eventually got married. Now that religious aspect came up again. What kind of wedding would I have, right?
Right.
Was it going to be in a Catholic church like my cousin had, or outside on a beach or something?
Right.
We decided to have a Christian wedding. So that meant that my parents were being told by some priests that they couldn't come, and by other priests that they could.
Okay.
So then my dad decided that he could cater for it, so he came and cooked. And then my mom decided, she's like, you know what, I'm going. It's my daughter's wedding. I'm going. So a few people came in the family, but a lot of people resented that it wasn't a Catholic wedding, and it wasn't traditional at all.
Okay.
It was very cheap, very small, a simple wedding, which is exactly what we wanted. Was
it? Okay, so there was no real religiousness there, was there?
He got like an old friend who was a pastor, an ex-pastor, to kind of lecture the wedding.
So not like a justice of the peace kind of thing?
Well, we did that like 6 months before, because I wanted to get all the paperwork out of the way. And that's another thing that some people resented, was that they're like, well, aren't you already married? I was like, yes, but this is the wedding ceremony. This is the ceremony.
This is for you guys.
Yeah. So that kind of, I was like, okay, so I'm not Catholic. Definitely not Catholic. I'm talking to another family member one day, and they said, okay, well, as long as you believe that Jesus is the Son of God, then you're good.
Right.
And I was like, wait a second. Do I? I don't know. Another question that stuck in my head. So then I finally decided I want to get out in the daylight. So I get a job waiting tables again. and I'm married and having fun, and then I sober up, and then I find out that I'm quite introverted, and I can't take the pressure of
I
serving
don't see that.
alcohol.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, so I was waiting tables. I was serving alcohol, dealing with the people drinking it, cutting people off, and I had to push it to make money. My coworkers drank it constantly, and you almost had to drink to be part of the crowd. And so I would have panic attacks in the middle of the dinner shift,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I got a quiet job, this job that I have now, this boring job. It allowed me to start watching documentaries and learning stuff. And so I finally stumbled upon two documentaries that changed my life. One, The Inexplicable Universe with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Excellent one.
Excellent. Neil deGrasse Tyson, amazing teacher.
Yeah. By the way, Cosmos season 2 starts up next year.
I haven't started that yet because I know that I'm going to get addicted. I'm not going to be able to listen to anything else. I'm like, I'm saving that for later.
Lock the door and everyone stay out.
Yes, because I've always been like intrigued about space in the ocean, the stuff that we can't see.
Yeah, water space and outer space.
Yeah, aliens and life and fire and stars, all that.
Sure. Yeah.
So that got me. He started talking about things that we've known for years, for hundreds of years. It's like, wait a second, how come I don't know that? I've never heard that before. So that got me learning more. So then I'm starting to listen to NPR going to work. I'm listening to politics, the Brett Kavanaugh Supreme Court stuff is going on, and I related to this woman, and I got pretty passionate about politics, and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to be a political activist. And he goes, okay. But kept learning. Watched another documentary called Roe v. Wade on Netflix. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I'm trying to get it all out.
Yeah. Oh, no. Do what you do.
Okay. Watched Roe v. Wade on Netflix, and that documentary made me realize I hadn't changed my mind about abortion yet, but it made me realize that other people can have different opinions than me.
Sure.
And that's okay. And that's when I was like, fuck, I've been wrong to try to dictate everyone else's life just because I disagree with them. And so I posted on Facebook, and I was loud about it. I was like, I've been wrong. I'm sorry. I am pro-choice. So some family members come out and they're like, what?
Uh-oh. It's like what? Like you.
That was an interesting thread.
I'm gonna have to search this out now.
You might have. It's August 2018.
Okay.
Or yeah, I think it was August. Anyway, I became pro-choice. And then more people are talking to me, trying to figure out, how could this happen? How can you be, a Christian and be pro-choice, blah, blah, blah. And so somebody then asks me, well, when do you think a soul is born or starts forming? Or do you believe in a soul at all? I was like, hold on. I'll get back to you. A week later, I come back and I'm like, I don't think there's anything like a soul. I don't know. I think God's energy.
Whatever that is.
I just feel him,
Wait, can we measure this energy? Or because energy is always measurable.
I hadn't gotten to this like science stuff yet.
So right.
I'm still on space and energy. Husband just got home.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, Neil says hi. So basically, I go to work, and I'm still new at work. I'd only been there a couple months, and I had a very religious Muslim coworker that I somewhat looked up to, almost as like a parental figure. Like, she was just a really sweet woman. And I told her that all the things I was learning and all the things I was questioning, and she was just intrigued by my passion and my curiosity. She's just kind of, okay. So then I tell her, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I believe in a God. And she's like, I'm going to take you to a mosque.
That's a good idea.
And I'm like, that actually sounds fun. Like, I've never been to one. That sounds fun. One. I'm willing. But before I start like learning about Islam or Judaism or anything else, how about I figure out if I believe in a God, and then I'll try to break it down from there.
Mm-hmm. But they're beautiful buildings.
What's up?
The architecture is beautiful. Like the insides of these places. Like I've been literally to the one in Jerusalem that you see on top of the wall, like the Western Wall in Israel.
Yeah.
And I've been in that one, and it's quite the building.
Well, and just the way that the clothing, I love it. It's very colorful.
Mm-hmm.
But at least her division of Islam, I don't know if there's different sections or whatever, but
there are.
Anyway, I decided to get on YouTube and look up atheist versus theist debates. I realized at that point that I had never really listened to an atheist.
Okay.
I didn't know what their side was. And just before this, I had looked up the definition of atheist, and it said, the belief that there are no gods. And I was like, I can't say that. I know there's something out there. So I guess I'm just a theist. And so I discovered Matt and Hitch and Harris and all the heroes.
Yeah.
And
Arn
I
and
actually watched a few of them, just listen to them just kind of for hours and just the different arguments. And I realized at a certain point that the theists all had the same argument.
Yep.
Just over and over and over again.
Unlike science,
like,
there's
never
changes.
Right. Like they're never coming up with anything new.
That's right. Yeah.
So then that kind of, made it really wiggle a little bit. And then Hitch said something like, oh, well, all those religions you don't believe in, well, that's how I view yours, or something along those lines.
Yeah. You take
and
it one.
Just like,
yeah, that's like a mind opener, right? It's like, whoa.
I mean, it was literally fireworks going off in my head. Like I wanted to do. I don't know how to explain that feeling. You were deconverted, right?
Well, my story is a little unique. I'm not sure if you've heard my story, but I was basically born to Christians. Okay. They were not married. My dad's was Catholic. My birth mom was more of a Christian variety, right? But and
non-denominational.
Yeah. My favorite part of the story is that I was conceived in the back of a 57 Chevy Bel Air hardtop, which is cool. And it's weird because my dad that I grew up with was saving a Bel Air hardtop for his firstborn son, which was me. Isn't that kind of weird?
That's cool.
But anyway, but they were too young, and my dad, being fearful of his very, very staunch Catholic mother, put me up for adoption. And I was adopted by a Jewish couple. So I was raised in the Jewish faith. I had the bar mitzvah, all the works, but I remember being young and asking questions that they didn't like. Like a David and Goliath story. And I'm like, how the giants? Come on, giants? Really? Like, are we talking about the friendly giant that I see on the
I think that got me too. It's just, hold on. I was like, maybe they're just exaggerating it for a story.
Maybe, yeah. And that's kind of what they told me. They said, well, this is really and a lot of Jews today are more secularish than they are really religious. So to a lot of them, it's more allegory. Like by the time I was 16, 17, I'd already looked into the whole story of the Exodus out of Egypt, and realized that they never found evidence for that, and et cetera.
Right.
So
all kinds of theories on Netflix.
So kind of somewhere in my late teens, I pretty much got out of Judaism and became a Wiccan and a pagan and all that shit. And then eventually I pulled my way out free from that stuff as well, because I just didn't buy any of that shit. Like I was dating girls that called themselves witches, and I was like, yeah, when do we get to the sex magic? That kind of thing. Being a 22-year-old kid, that's kind of what you're after. But that was the best part of it anyways. And then I just kind of pulled my way out of it. And I was probably an atheist by my mid-30s, but I didn't call myself one until probably my mid-40s.
Did you have a moment where you decided to like really look into it, or did it just kind of come to you?
It was constant looking into.
Okay.
And when you just don't find evidence for it anywhere, Or once in a while I convince myself, oh, Ouija boards are real, because people have told me stories of things that would have been like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, but that's allegory. Like, it's just, it's or not allegory. What's the word I'm looking for? It's another A word. Oh shit.
There, sorry.
Yeah, no, when people have they tell you a story, it's just them. No, this is a story. What do they call that? Starts with an A. Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. Anyways,
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. These people just telling stories didn't amount to anything, really, unless they had something to back up their stories with. Like, I know it's shit. I was using the term citation needed by the time I was 40 something, right? So, and I'm 53 now, and a lot of people actually don't believe me when I tell them that, and I have to show.
No, you look young. You look 40.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew I liked you, Jenna. No, I'm 53, man. Just turned 53 in October.
Looking good.
Yeah, well, thanks. But yeah, so I would say I was never really full force believer, but I would have conversations with God when I was a kid, like, oh, God, there's this new Star Wars figure coming out and I really want it, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Asking for ridiculous things, but other than that,
I used to have all these questions about, well, why is this like this? And why is that? So I would ask God, and be like, okay, God, you're going to be up there when I get up there, and I can't remember this, and I also can't take anything with me when I go. So why don't you just remember this question for me, and then when I get up there, you can tell me the answer.
When you get up there?
When I get up there.
Do you really want to wait that long?
I was like, well, I'm not going to get it down here.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay. I just accepted, I'm just not going to know things. I can pray about it and I may get a feeling, but
not to know things.
Yeah.
Right. I learned something today watching a Godless Engineer video that I had no idea of. So
yeah, I'm learning things all the time now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it now. Like I just feel like there's so much more to explore than I ever thought there was. It just
endless shit.
I thought it was a Sims game.
Hey, maybe we're in one, kind of like that Matrix thing.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think so, but hey,
I don't know, but I don't think so.
Somebody in the Matrix would say that anyways.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we just watched all 3 of them the other day.
I like Matrix.
First,
but, things like that, and then have you ever seen Mona Lisa Smile?
Yes.
That movie, kind of.
I know.
Things like that, seeing. I am huge on psychology. Like, I am fascinated by people and why they do things.
Yep.
Good people, bad people. Why?
All boils down to this.
Yeah, well, there's always a reason. And so right after I deconverted, I was like, oh, so free will isn't a thing. I was like, oh, so free will is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I listened to more and they're like, oh yeah, free will is not a thing. I was like, wait a second. Wait. So I learned more about determinism and all that. I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Than anything I'd ever just made up in my mind.
Well, there's the whole free will thing kind of was one of the ones that I always sort of had issues with. Like, I've heard Sam Harris talk about it.
Yeah.
That the brain makes decisions literally before you even realize you've made the decision.
Well, right. You have to ask yourself, what do I want?
Yeah, kind of like that, right? And then your brain also goes on patterns it's used to. So if you've been in situations that are similar,
true,
and you made a decision based on something, your brain picks that up, and it's been doing that since you were a toddler. So it already knows your decision making, typical decision making. So it's going to make these decisions before you're aware of it. Based on
history, your
probability of what you're going to decide on. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I still consider it a form of free will because you're not really conscious of that happening.
It's interesting. I agree that it's kind of free will and it's kind of not, in the sense of like, just I'm big on metaphors just to understand things. So like, for example, say you're on a ship and are you in control of the ship? Well, yeah, you can steer it, but the waves are going to move it, and the storm can still sink it, and if you're born in a storm, life's going to be tough.
Yeah.
You can still steer it or not.
Yeah, that's like the illusion of control.
Right. So it's like, do you really have control, even if you're just because you're turning, it just, I guess it just depends on how you define it.
Sure. Exactly. That's why it's always right. And I think it's always good to talk when you're talking with somebody about anything that's that kind of level of topic. You should always agree upon their definitions before I think you can really go hard, right? So.
Oh yeah, that's another thing is I used to be so hard on, no, this is what this word means.
Yeah, I know.
This book says so.
Exactly.
Started listening to TED Talks, and they're talking, somebody on like the board of Webster Dictionary who was talking about how words get made. Y'all make them.
Yeah, everyone makes them up.
And they change according to how we use them.
Sure.
And I was like, that's interesting. We can change things.
Sure. That's why Matt always says words are intrinsic, right?
They are. And it's fascinating. Okay, cool. You're using that word. How are you using that word?
Yeah, what's the context here?
Right. I'll use that word, but I want to be very clear that you know what I mean when I'm using that word.
Yeah. I think if you understand what each other mean by the words that you're using, the conversation will go a hell of a lot better.
Right. But that's where people get so lost when they're having a conversation with somebody that they don't agree with, is because people are assuming that they mean something. Oh, you're an atheist, so that means this.
Yeah. Yeah. The gods don't exist. That's technically not what it means. I mean, it can be encompassing of that, because there are some atheists that will say that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, basically.
They don't understand the concept of just ask me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What I think. But I guess we were trained to assume things, to I guess prevent ourselves from being tricked into satanic devilism.
Devilism.
I don't know.
Hey, I got a secret for you. Satan's not real either.
I know. But you know what, though? After I deconverted, hearing all these stories about how Satan's the guy that kind of never lied, and he's trying to let people do what they want.
Yeah, He sounds like a pretty cool guy, actually.
Interesting.
He's killed way less people than God.
And then the fact that the tree of knowledge, you're not allowed to have the knowledge. Like, why?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to make you go, I'm eating that fucking fruit the minute you turn your back, motherfucker.
All I have to do is eat this apple, and then I know everything. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah, which in and of itself is ridiculous. Listen, bullshit.
Okay. If there are any theists watching, we're not trying to be rude. It's just ridiculous to us.
Or are we? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
I know. I can't speak for everybody. I try not to be rude. I try and be as calm in my discourse with theists as much as possible.
Well, I forget, theists do watch this stuff sometimes. Like sure. My mom, actually, the only time that I've really had a conversation with her since I've started all this stuff, she told me, she was like, so, you laugh at us.
Sometimes, yeah.
And I was like, oh, so she was hurt by it. And I was like, okay. So I realized I don't want to hurt people. That is not my intention. So I do try to be careful, but I do push it for a reason. I've been warned by some elderly people that I trust with my whole heart, to be careful, because I can turn people off with how far I push things. But there's a reason that I go as far as I do, and I try to be as personally moral as I can with everything that I do. I am so much more conscious of the things that I'm doing now than I've ever have been before. And I try to do good things, and the things that I do post that might shock you, just think about it. Just think about it.
Probably wouldn't shock
me. keep in mind, I'm not trying to be offensive.
Right. I think if you do that explanation that we often use as atheists, is we're not really attacking people in general. It's just bad belief systems, or what we consider to be bad beliefs.
Toxic belief systems.
Yeah.
Harmful. Personally, I can share my own personal harm from this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
I
that's
remember when I was a kid, I had a family member sit me down. I was like 6 or 7, and my sisters and I used to make pickle sickles, where we would take the leftover pickle juice, pour it in a cup, and put a knife or a fork in it and freeze it. And then you pick up the utensil and you got a pickle sickle. We love pickle juice. I remember
apparently.
so excited. Sorry?
I said apparently.
Right. So,
enough to make popsicles with it? That's actually kind of a cool idea, and I'm going to try it now.
You might as well. We always have a jar of pickle juice left in the fridge now.
That's not my fault.
I love the backwoods commentary coming out of it.
But so I had a family member that was visiting, and we were really excited about our pickle sickles, and we're eating them. And this family member sat me down and looked me in the eye and said, the devil tries to distract you from God with this kind of thing.
Pickle sickles?
When you get really into, when you really like something and it takes your mind off of God, that's the devil's work.
Of course.
And I just remember like cocking my head and going, nah, and just walking away.
You insane lady.
Sorry. So anyway, yeah, things like that. It's interesting. I'm one of 7 kids, and that is because of religion.
Yeah, well, Catholic families tend to be large.
I didn't know that was a thing until middle school. We had a new kid come to our tiny town school, and they found out I was one of 7 kids, and she goes, "Oh, you're Catholic, right?" I was like,
"How did you know? What are you, like Kreskin?"
I was like, "Wow, she's so smart." I mean, I love everyone, and I'm thankful for everyone, but there's only so much time in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And when one parent has to work all the time just to make enough money to support everyone, there's only so much time in a day.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think everyone got what they needed, but I didn't. I'm not going to say that, I was hated,
right,
or anything like that, but I didn't get what I needed, and I don't blame my parents for that. I blame the religion.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to, get down to a root cause, I could definitely say that it would have been the religion that put them in the mindset to have a larger family, which in turn, some kids didn't get as much attention as others, and it's
there's just so much competition between us all the time, and
of course,
yeah, it was.
The term sibling rivalry wasn't created for nothing, right? So.
I mean, it was so funny. People would walk up to me and be like, "Oh, you must have so much fun. You always have someone to play with."
Yeah.
I always have someone to fight with.
Yeah, that would be me and my sister too. Yeah, well, I only grew up with one sister, but in 2000, when I finally met my biological family, my folks ended up getting married because my mom got pregnant again with my sister Deanna that I mentioned earlier, and then they had another one, which was my sister Trina. They lost 2 in between that, and I was the firstborn, and I'm the only boy, so I basically now have. Well, my sister Trina was killed in an accident recently in 2016.
Oh my God!
Motorcycle, yeah. And I also lost my biological mom too. While they were down in Yuma, she was on the computer, and my dad went for a nap, and then he woke up and he started calling her name, and she didn't respond. So he thought, oh, maybe she's outside. And he walked out there, and she was hunched over the computer. I guess she was playing a game, and embolism or something. And boop, that was it. So it wasn't painful. Yeah. Yeah, it's been rough, And then my mom just lost her boyfriend a couple weeks back. I was pretty fond of the guy too. He's a pretty good guy, but it didn't affect me. I think the way it affected her, she was pretty devastated because, of course, my adopted dad passed away in 2011, or 10 or 11, I think.
Bad bunch of years.
Yeah. A lot of, but you know what? You reach the age that I am, and this stuff just starts happening more and more and more because I've lost friends now. Right. So
I've been very lucky. I haven't lost many people. I've lost both my grandpas and my grandma, but we weren't very close.
Okay.
I have one grandma left, and we are close.
That's cool. That's really
very cool. And she is the like religious leader of the family. Like she's the saint. She's a wonderful woman, and she actually, it's so fun talking to her because we disagree so hard.
That's not surprising.
Like my in-laws were listening to me talking to her at one point, and they're like, go easy. And I'm like, no, we talk like this. Like she talks to me like this, and we're of the same family.
So you can tell when you guys are having those conversations.
Yeah, but it's good. Like we learn from each other. And I think that she may not admit it, but she's become a bit more liberal, and she's extremely open-minded.
That's
my brothers, good. I think, all believe different things, and
that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That they're open-minded and at least willing to hear you. Some theists aren't. So you got lucky with grandma.
A lot of theists aren't.
Yeah.
I've lost one person I was very close to. Actually, a couple people I was very close. Several people that I was very close to don't talk to me anymore. And
wow.
One of them I won't talk to because I've tried over and over again, and they keep triggering me. And then they don't care when they do. And then they trigger me harder.
It's like they get off on it.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're gonna cry now, like that kind of thing.
Oh fuck.
And I understand because I am not here to badmouth my family.
Right, of course.
But that's just how we talked to each other. All of us.
Yeah.
And I am now removed from that. And I don't talk to people like that. And I do not allow people to talk to me like that.
No, you shouldn't.
So I've lost a lot of people.
Yeah, I've lost a few. I'm fairly lucky because Jews nowadays are quite secular, and most of my family, they're not like hardcore believers. We have a few, but like my sister's husband, he's like a rabbi wannabe. So and then I bring up stuff all the time, and he just kind of rolls his eyes at me all the time. We don't even talk about it really, but especially at like the Passover Seder, right? When they go on about the Exodus story, and he sees me sitting there with the Haggadah, which is the book of the story, and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh fuck's sakes, okay, that didn't happen." And he can hear me mumbling. He's like, giving me these looks, like, "Shut up." I'm like, "Sorry." So, kitty.
Oh, it's my kitty cat. It's Mickey.
Oh, I had an orange one.
There's
Oh, did you do that?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
We have
I paint and it looks like crap. So
I'm not that good. We have this thing in town called Pino's Palette, where you can go and drink and paint, and they tell you what to do and how to do it, and they give you all the stuff, and you pay like $25 or $30, and they.
Hope you get a few drinks. That's pretty good, man. I know I'm not like right there looking at it, like,
Well, if you want to see
in a gallery going, yeah, I feel the angst in this picture, but it looks pretty good. It's awesome.
Oh, thanks. Well, I like art. Me too. Big on art.
That's my art.
Actually, right next to me, right as I sobered up, I crocheted.
Oh, look at that.
And I made a blanket that I call my recovery blanket.
Oh, wow. Cool. I like it.
And it's huge. And
do that if you trained me.
Yeah, you could. Oh. It's literally, I learned from it, because something that I learned from addiction, from rehab, is just one day at a time.
Yeah.
One moment at a time. And with this blanket, it's literally one stitch at a time. You just do it. Just keep going.
Knit one, purl two, something like that.
No. That's knitting. Knitting is hard. I don't get that. Crochet is just one hook, where you're literally just hook.
Okay.
You're just making knots.
Right.
And so you just make knots in different ways, and it's very simple to learn.
You know, now I'm going to be in an old folks home at some point trying that out, right?
What's so funny is that I'm in my 20s and I'm the one crocheting.
Nothing wrong with that. I know many people that do that.
I love it. It's very soothing, very relaxing, and it gives you this huge sense of accomplishment when you look. You see this just piece of yarn turn into a blanket. Like,
yeah, it's cool.
It's like, hey, I can go to an island and like survive.
I got one over there that a buddy of mine's mom made me for one Christmas. She goes, "What colors do you want?" I'm like, "Look at me. Black work for you?" She's like, "Okay, I get it." She made me a black blanket. So it's awesome.
Cool.
Like, colors? What are colors?
And I'm the opposite. I am all about colors.
All right.
When I was in kindergarten, we were decorating ornaments. And they had all the glitter lined up, and somebody asked me what my favorite color was, and I pointed to one. I said, "What color is that?" They said, "That's multicolor." And I said, "Multicolor is my favorite color."
Oh, is it like that yarn that comes out and it's like a rainbow of colors in one?
No, it was like sprinkles, like just every color
cool.
in a jar. And I was like,
I need this. Awesome.
Everything that I had was multicolored.
All right, so we now know that, because usually I ask, like, what kind of an effect leaving the faith has on your relationships, like personal with your family and friends and stuff, and you've covered that already. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to add to this before we get ourselves with an after party? Or
actually, yeah. So with my husband, he's been incredibly encouraging.
That's good.
Because both of us were drinkers, just kind of going to work and drinking and going home and watching TV and just kind of living, right? Just not really doing anything. And I started learning stuff and talking to him. Hey, guess what I learned about this? And he's like, yeah, and so he'll like explain it more because he obviously knows it already. He's so much smarter than me.
The wise old man.
Yeah. So then he started to get intrigued, and he started to learn all this kinds of stuff. And he's always been obsessed with World War II.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah.
And so
me too,
I'm kind of,
because of the Holocaust and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it's just fascinating how we got there.
Yeah. And everyone said, "Oh, that couldn't happen again." I'm like, have you been paying fucking attention?
That's exactly, like, that's intriguing why nobody's caught on to that.
I know.
But yeah, so anyway, he's very encouraging. Sorry?
So they're almost like neo-Nazis anyway, so,
Yeah, a lot of people, actually. But at the same time, I see a lot of good things happening.
Of course.
People are coming out and being very vocal about their stories. And
which is good.
I think that perspective is the one thing that can change a person. Mm-hmm. Is being exposed to alternate perspectives. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's possible that might be a person in there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That movie, American History X, is I think it's based on an actual story, and it demonstrates that exactly what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't. What's it called again?
American History X.
And where is it?
It's Edward Norton, and it's like a modern day skinhead kid whose mom starts dating a Jewish guy. Mm. Right. And skinheads actually were never initially Nazis. They came from sort of a different group in England somewhere, I think. And then it was adapted to the now what we know as skinhead neo-Nazi type, as far as I know. But anyways, you can probably Google that shit and find out the real story behind it. But I'm probably just skimming the surface on that. But I mean, yeah, American History X was a really good movie about this kid who ends up curb stomping a black fella and ending up in jail. And when he's in there, he learns a lot about
Mhm.
different peoples and different races and religions and stuff like that. And he comes out a completely different person, and he's now very anti white supremacy kind of thing. So
Yeah. See,
it's
that's the thing is there's so many people like, oh, that's a good person. That's a bad person.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I mean, we're all good and bad. So how about we stop labeling and just try to meet each other and judge each other on our own levels instead of just putting somebody in a box and saying, no, that's impossible.
yeah, it's ridiculous. But people do that. They tend to like
I think they do that because they've been trained to do that.
Yes. Yes.
I was trained to do that.
Yeah, we all
Somebody
are.
tells me they're an atheist, don't talk to them.
Yeah, yeah. And they all think that they all pretty much have been fed the same garbage too.
Yes.
I'd love to know where the whole "we eat babies" thing came from.
I have no idea.
Fuck. I think the closest thing ever is like baby back ribs, but that's not even baby.
I'm sure somebody joked about it and somebody else saw it and took it out of context. That has to be what it was.
Oh, I love that one. You're taking it out of context. Out of your context, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, it's silly.
He started learning and we're both learning, and now we're all about life and living and growing and helping as much as we can. He's becoming more involved. He's like posting stuff on Facebook more and
awesome.
Talking to people in the comment section, and I mean he's becoming more vocal.
That's good.
I'm proud of him.
You know, I will say this. I've noticed a lot when I get friend requests, and I get like fucking 5 or 6 every hour, it seems these days. And when I go through them and then they have the suggested ones,
right?
It's like every other time your husband's there. Like,
Adam.
Well, yeah, but now I feel more comfortable doing it because I've talked to you, and he's there going, in the background, and right, yeah. So, and now the next time he pops up, I will click and it just tell him to look for Neil Bernstein because I go by my actual name there, and but you'll still see my logo because I still use a logo, and I think that freaked out some of my family members actually when I put that logo there.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. Well, it was designed by the girl that does all the ones for Truth Wanted, and her name.
She did mine too.
Yes. And then I had my friend Thomas Bear design all that background stuff and the lettering.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there you go.
I like it.
Yeah, he's pretty good with the graphic stuff. And then Derek Hawk sent me a 3D version. That, you know, when you look at it from different angles, like he's been posting all those 3D pictures and stuff recently. Well, he made a 3D version of my thing, and I still haven't figured out how the fuck to put it in my picture frame for Facebook, but I'll figure it out.
Awesome.
Yeah, that which you can then you can look at it like this, and it changes, you know, like 3D-ish, which is really cool.
Awesome.
Well, Jenna,
that's so cool. See, there's so many volunteers. There's so many people there we're all helping each other. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have my own show now too. Like, yeah.
Oh, that reminds me, guys, I do have links to Jenna's personal YouTube down below, where she's got a few videos up there, and also the Godless Bitches reboot version 3, and also Atheist Experience, of course. But who the fuck doesn't know that one already? And a link to I have, by the way, while we were talking, I snuck your link to your Facebook page here, and sneaky that way. And you can find her there and also on Twitter. But she's admitted she doesn't do the Twitter thing as much.
Not very often.
See, and I'm the reverse. I don't really do the Facebook thing as much. I go on to see whose birthday it is every day. And then the ones I actually know, I wish them happy birthday, and the rest I ignore. And then, I'll look at some of the posts and reply if need be. But I'm a moderator in like fucking 20 groups. Atheist groups and stuff like that, because people keep making me a moderator for some fucking reason.
Well, you're a good guy, and they trust your opinion. I get too overwhelmed. I can, like, I'll make a post and I'll read it every now and then and comment, but I can't do it all the time.
I know, me either. And the comments can pile up fast.
They really do, so fast. And it's like, God, some people are sharing their stories. I'm like, I want to acknowledge you at least, but it's like sometimes I can't.
Yeah. Okay. My friend Josiah, who's known as the pheasant, he always asks this question of my guests. I'll pop it up here on the screen. Can you see that?
Leo.
Yes. Thank you. Everyone always says Michelangelo. I'm like, he's a douchebag.
No,
Leo's the leader, man. He's the guy. He's the man with the plan. And I have to admit, I'm also a Donatello fan. And just for you guys, because he's the science guy, right?
He's dorky.
And I have been collecting those comics since they first came out. Like I had all the original black and white. I see a ominous shadow. Hey!
Yep, that's the husband.
That's the husband.
Your voice is familiar, strangely comfortable, and I was actually just curious to see the face of the voice.
That's the husband. Voice?
Yes, I'm wearing a wig, as you can see. No, I'm kidding.
That's not a wig, sir.
No, it's not. It's sir. I've never been knighted, so you don't have to call me sir.
You're welcome. I'm one of those nice people.
All right. Then now that I've met you face to face, because your name always comes up as you should add on Facebook, and I'm like, oh look, it's Jenna's husband. I should. I don't really know him. Maybe I shouldn't. Now I'll click add as a friend. So.
Oh please.
All right.
I'll gladly accept it.
All right. It's nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
And
you have a pleasant face to the voice, and you're not who I was expecting, but that's a wonderful thing.
I get that a lot, even from family members. So
your voice is very comforting. Use it.
Oh, thank you. You should have heard what people were saying when I had Seth Anders on the show.
What?
They were going, "Oh my God, the two best voices together."
Oh my God, yeah.
Show.
I'll back that up.
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh geez, I hope we're not putting you guys to sleep.
No,
because it's like Atheist ASMR.
Audiobooks.
You're not the first person to tell me that. And my buddy Todd, who's been a radio DJ for years, said, "How come you never got into the DJ business?" I said, "I don't know. Everyone says I have a face for radio, so I could." Oh, I know. I'm just joking.
I'll argue against that.
I like him already.
Now you have a wonderful voice and a wonderful way to do all that stuff. I had a point.
Mine's on top of my head.
No, you have a wonderfully soothing voice, and the comfort of your the way you speak actually gets a point out. Sorry, I'm coming. It actually gets a point out that's understandable. Even from a distance, I was able to actually hear your side of like things. It's slow, it's a comforting, deep voice, and it's a powerful voice. And I really appreciate things like that. So,
well, man, that means a lot. Thanks you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Are we going to meet you?
Sorry,
I'll meet you when I'm down there for Faithless Forum. By the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, please do.
Oh yeah,
he'll be at Faithless Forum.
Well, Jenna and I are both on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, it was so much fun last year, dude. It's going to be a blast this year.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll leave you guys to your conversation. I know we're pressed on time.
Well, when we do the after party, you're welcome to jump in for that too.
I'm looking forward to that as well, and I kind of want to meet you, man.
All right, well, we'll make it happen, man. Don't worry.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you for all the fabulous comments and compliments.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I'm gonna be walking around outside going, "That's right, motherfuckers." Why is he strutting around like a rooster? I met Jenna's husband. That's why. Anyways, everyone's like, "I'm down for the after party. I'm down for the after party."
Yay!
Oh Jesus! Look at this. Powerful oral. That's my inappropriate buddy. Doorknob head, aptly named Doorknob head. Nah, he's always in our, always in my.
There's a chat room.
Oh yeah, there's a chat. Yeah.
I haven't seen this.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Can you access it with the iPad?
I can see it. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, thanks, Faye. Faye's amazing.
Okay.
One of the first people I met starting to do this stuff. So. Actually,
Oh, yeah.
way before I started doing this stuff. She was always in some of the after parties and stuff of other people's videos that I would jump into. So, yeah,
Fun.
like a couple of years now I've known her. But yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we get into the after party? And there's lots of people that want to come and say hello, and they probably will ask you some silly questions, as they usually do. As
Cool.
parties are pretty hilarious. So,
Okay.
you're good for one for a little while, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's do that. What I'll do is I'll close this out and send you a fresh link.
Okay.
And I'm going to take a bit of a break, go have a quick pee, because, beer, you only rent it. And then I'm going to have a cigarette, and then I'll come back and we'll get into it. All right?
Cool beans.
Well, Jenna, thank you so much for coming on with me today. It's been an
Thank
absolute pleasure getting to know you.
Yeah, you were actually the first person to invite me.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't believe that. Come on.
You were. And I was like,
I'd have to wait
I
in
don't know.
line.
Should I be a guest on someone else's show? Should I do that?
Were you asking folks? Like, what did they tell you?
I asked Eric.
And he was one of my
I
first.
was like, am I supposed to be on other people's shows? Like, are they trying to trick me? And are people like, I don't know. And he was like, just be on everything. I was like,
Be on everything you
oh.
can. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. This is how we spread everyone around, right? We're all like peanut butter. We just keep fucking spreading everyone everywhere, which I think is great, because then our word gets out there, right? So, all right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as we did, because I'm judging by the smiles here on both of us that we had a pretty good time tonight.
Yeah.
And there's more to come in an after party. I'm pretty sure this time I put the link to the after party down below, so you can check us out there. If you're interested in jumping in, just let me know either through Facebook or Messenger or the DMs on Twitter, and I will send you your own personal link, and you can jump in with us, and we'll have a good time, because I still have a few beers left, so we're just getting started, people. Until the next time, guys, like I always say at the end of these things, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.